Have you ever been disrespected and your first instinct was to fire back? To defend yourself, prove your worth, show them they can't walk all over you. But what if I told you there's a way to respond that's far more powerful, a way that doesn't involve shouting, losing your cool, or stooping to their level, a way that lets you walk away not just with your peace intact, but with your dignity unshaken? In this video, we're walking together through 7 Stoic lessons that will change the way you deal with people who try to make you feel small. By the end of this journey, you won't just react differently, you'll carry yourself differently. And let me tell you right now, the final lesson is the one that could change everything. It's not just a tool, it's a mindset shift that will make sure no one ever gets to define your worth again based on how they treat you. So stay with me until the end, because each lesson builds a new layer of your emotional armor. Not to attack, but to stand strong without getting wounded so easily. And while you're here, do this one thing now. Type this sentence in the comments. My worth does not depend on anyone's opinion. It's more than a comment, it's a personal declaration. You're not just repeating words, you're engraving a truth into your identity. Because when you write it, you're not just participating, you're taking a stand. A quiet, firm, public stand for your own self-respect. You deserve respect, and more importantly, you must remember, respect begins with how you treat yourself. So take a deep breath, focus in, and come with me as we learn how to disarm disrespect without losing your essence, your control, or your time. Let's begin. Lesson 1. Don't react in anger. Respond with awareness. How many times have you said something in the heat of the moment only to regret it later? How often has anger hijacked your voice, your face, your energy, turning you into someone you didn't want to be? The truth is, when we're triggered, we're rarely acting as our best selves. That's why this first Stoic lesson is simple, but quietly life-changing. Don't react in anger. Respond with awareness. For the Stoics, true freedom begins when you stop letting your impulses drive the wheel. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The best revenge is to be unlike the one who wronged you." And that difference? It begins the moment you stop acting on instinct and start choosing with intention. When someone treats you with disrespect, your reflex is to hit back, to defend your worth, to show you won't be pushed around. But the moment you respond with aggression, you've stepped into their game. A shouting match where the loudest voice wins. To a Stoic, that's not winning. That's losing control. Because between stimulus and response, there is always a space, and in that space lies your power to choose. That pause, it's where awareness lives. It's the breath you take, the stillness before action, the moment you decide, I won't lower myself to their level. That choice, it's your liberation. It moves you out of reaction mode and places you firmly in command. You're no longer a puppet of your emotions. You become the captain of your own conduct. In practice, this might mean not replying immediately when someone lashes out, looking them in the eye and calmly saying, "Let's talk later," or saying nothing at all, not from weakness, but from strength. That pause isn't avoidance, it's strategy, it's emotional maturity, and most importantly, it's self-respect. Responding with awareness means remembering your value doesn't lie in winning the argument, it lies in preserving your integrity. What someone says about you doesn't define you, how you respond does. Reacting in anger gives your power away. Responding with clarity brings it back. You may not control what others do, but you always control the choices you make. And that's one of the greatest Stoic virtues. To act with intention, not impulse. When this lesson sinks in, you'll realize something powerful. Staying calm is not weakness, it's mastery. Mastery of yourself, the moment, and your energy. And that is when you begin to become truly unshakable. Lesson 2. Don't argue with those who've already chosen not to listen. Have you ever found yourself explaining, clarifying, repeating the same point over and over, only to realize they were never really listening? You try logic, you try calm, you choose your words carefully, as if the right phrase could unlock a door that's already bolted shut from the inside. This is where the second Stoic lesson comes in. Don't argue with someone who has already chosen not to hear you. Stoic philosophy warns us about the waste of energy. Epictetus put it clearly, you cannot teach someone who does not wish to learn. And the same is true in arguments. Most of the time, the problem isn't your lack of clarity. It's the other person's lack of willingness. They've already made up their mind. They're clinging to pride, to resentment, to ego. No matter how calmly or intelligently you speak, they've stopped receiving. Trying to be heard by someone who has no intention of listening is like shouting into the wind. You exhaust yourself, but you never move forward. The Stoic response? Take the wiser path. Recognize the limits of your influence. Stop insisting where there's no openness. And no, this is not surrender. It's self-respect. It's protecting your energy, your peace, your dignity. Because your worth doesn't lie in how persuasive you are. It lies in how steadfast you remain, even when you're misunderstood. In practice, this means knowing when a conversation has turned into a wall. When it's no longer about truth, but about winning. When it's no longer about clarity, but about ego. And in that moment, you have a choice. Step away, not in defeat, but in strength. Not every battle deserves to be fought, and not every silence is weakness. Sometimes, silence is wisdom. You can let someone keep talking to themselves, not out of contempt, but out of clarity. Because if you stay in a space where there's no real listening, you betray yourself. You abandon your right to be respected. The Stoic understands. Some conversations build you, others only drain you. And the ability to know the difference, that's emotional maturity. And when you refuse to argue with someone who never intended to understand you, you send a silent but powerful message. I don't need to prove anything. I don't need your approval to stand strong in my values. And sometimes that silence echoes louder than any comeback ever could. Lesson 3. Their disrespect says more about them than about you. Have you ever noticed how some words hit you harder than others? Sometimes one harsh sentence lingers in your mind for days, echoing like it carried real weight. But here's the truth. An insult only hurts when you give it meaning. The words themselves have no power. It's the meaning we assign to them that turns them into wounds. Epictetus said, "It's not the things themselves that disturb us, but our judgments about them." And that's one of the most liberating insights of Stoicism. You have the power to decide what affects you. When someone disrespects you, they're not showing you who you are. They're revealing who they are. Their actions are reflections of their own conflicts, their own frustrations, their own limits, not your worth. But it's so easy to take things personally. You start asking, why are they treating me like this? What did I do to deserve it? And that, right there, is the trap. The moment you ask that question, you give them the power to shape how you see yourself. The Stoic never allows that, because a Stoic knows someone else's behavior is their responsibility, never yours. If they act with rudeness, with coldness, with condescension, that's a window into their world, not a reflection of yours. You don't have to carry that energy. You don't have to make it your own. In practice, this lesson means learning to take a step back, to observe the offense and ask, what does this really say about them? And why should I carry it with me? That kind of reflection, it sets you free. You stop absorbing other people's chaos and start filtering it. You filter in what's constructive, what lifts you, what truly deserves your attention, and you let the rest drift away with the wind. And here's the beautiful part. When you truly understand this, your need for revenge disappears. You no longer feel attacked. You no longer need to strike back. Because deep down, you know none of this defines you. What protects you isn't your reaction, it's your clarity, your inner knowing of who you are. That's the deeper power of this lesson. It separates you from the need for external validation. You stop living on edge, reacting to every criticism, every sideways glance. Instead, you start acting from within, from values you've chosen for yourself. It's like building an invisible armor made of discernment. The words may come, the looks may come, the attitudes may come, but you stay grounded. Because how someone treats you is a mirror of the world they carry inside. And how you respond is a mirror of yours. And that is where Stoicism reveals its deepest strength. not in controlling others, but in mastering yourself. Lesson 4. Set firm boundaries without aggression. Being calm doesn't mean you have to accept everything. Having self-control doesn't mean staying silent. And keeping the peace doesn't mean you must tolerate the intolerable. This fourth Stoic lesson asks you to master a delicate balance. Set boundaries with firmness, without aggression. Because if you don't learn to clearly mark your space, you'll eventually be swallowed by the noise and demands of others. In Stoic philosophy, respect isn't shouted into existence. It's earned quietly through consistent, coherent actions. Epictetus taught us to act in line with our rational nature, to avoid emotional extremes. That means yes, you should absolutely set boundaries when someone crosses a line. But you don't need to do it with anger, hate, or volume. You can do it with presence, with a steady voice, with a calm gaze, and with the quiet confidence of someone who knows they are not here to be mistreated. In practice, this looks like saying, "I don't accept being spoken to that way." Firmly, clearly, without drama. It means ending conversations that have lost respect. It means no longer tolerating constant interruptions, emotional manipulation, or passive-aggressive games. You don't need to over-explain. You just need to be clear and consistent. The Stoic knows. Defending yourself calmly and firmly is not aggression, it's maturity. Because when you stay silent in the face of injustice just to avoid seeming rude, you're not being polite, you're abandoning yourself. And Stoicism is not a philosophy of avoidance. It's a philosophy of presence, of integrity. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "Do what is right, not what is popular." And that takes courage. The courage to be uncomfortable. The courage to hold your ground. The courage to be yourself, even if others don't like it. Here's the key insight. Setting boundaries isn't about changing other people. It's about changing your response to them. It's about deciding that from now on, you will no longer tolerate behavior that goes against your principles. And when you take that stance, not with aggression, but with clarity and strength, you'll often find the other person backing down, not out of fear, but out of recognition. They're standing in front of someone who respects themselves. If saying no feels hard, start small. Say no to invitations that drain you. Say no to tasks that overwhelm you. End conversations that leave you feeling wounded. Each of these choices builds your emotional strength, and the stronger you become within, the less you'll tolerate anything that tries to pull you down. Lesson 5. Don't beg for consideration. Cultivate self-respect. Few things drain your spirit more than trying to earn the respect of someone who has already chosen not to give it. You try harder. You stay quiet. You give more than you should just to receive crumbs of recognition from someone who never really looked your way. But Stoic wisdom teaches us a different path. It reminds us that anything outside our control must be met with rational indifference, and that includes how others perceive us. Epictetus said, "If you base your peace of mind on someone else's judgment, you've made yourself their slave." Because when your sense of worth depends on their approval, you surrender your emotional sovereignty. And nothing weakens you more than needing someone else's gaze to feel seen, someone else's voice to feel heard, someone else's love to feel worthy. Self-respect means understanding this simple truth. You don't need to be accepted to be worthy. It means acting in alignment with your values, even when no one applauds you for it. It means knowing that someone's silence doesn't mute your voice. Their coldness doesn't freeze your spirit. A Stoic is not obsessed with being admired. They're committed to being consistent, to living with integrity, even in the dark. And paradoxically, that quiet integrity is what earns the deepest respect of all. Not because you demanded it, not because you begged for it, but because you embodied it. In everyday life, this means stop chasing the ones who ignore you. This isn't pride, it's dignity. If someone doesn't respond to your message, you don't send another demanding attention. If someone treats you with indifference, you don't fight to be seen. You simply step back. And that retreat? It's not surrender, it's a declaration. It says, "In silence, I am enough." This also applies to the spaces you live in. If you're constantly having to prove your worth in a relationship, in a job, in a group that drains you, maybe the issue isn't your value, maybe it's the environment itself. Stoicism invites you to ask, am I living in alignment with my nature and virtue, or am I shrinking myself to fit into places that make me small? Cultivating self-respect is a daily practice. It starts with small choices. Say no to what devalues you. Step back from those who weaken you. And most of all, stop offering your heart to those who don't know how to hold it. The more you respect yourself, the less you'll tolerate disrespect from others. And eventually, you'll realize something powerful. That empty space left by someone who never valued you was never a loss. It was just sacred space, waiting to be filled by something or someone truly worthy of you. Lesson 6. Surround yourself with those who strengthen you. The people around you matter more than you think. They don't just influence your mood, they shape your thoughts. They mold your habits. Over time, they even shape the way you see yourself. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "Keep company with those who make you better. Avoid those who corrupt your soul." This isn't about isolating yourself or cutting out everyone you disagree with. It's about something far more important, protecting your emotional and mental space by choosing carefully who you allow to share your time, your energy, and especially your vulnerability. There are people who strengthen you, and there are people who slowly weaken you, not with one blow, but with subtle criticisms, constant complaints, quiet competition, or judgment disguised as advice. They chip away at your confidence until you forget who you used to be. A Stoic understands, guarding your mind also means guarding your company. And that starts with an honest question. Who makes me feel stronger, calmer, wiser? And who leaves me feeling drained, confused, or small? The answers become clear once you start truly observing. And then comes the real courage to reposition yourself. That might mean setting boundaries with old friends, reducing contact with toxic family members, or walking away from connections that no longer feel mutual or healthy. It's not coldness, it's maturity. Surround yourself with people who lift you, who offer thoughtful ideas, who listen and correct with kindness, who remind you of your strength, not your shortcomings. These people aren't just good company, they are pillars of your growth. And yes, such people are rare, but they do exist. You just have to be willing to become one of them, to give what you hope to receive. Never forget, who you allow around you shapes who you are becoming. If you want to cultivate courage, wisdom, and inner peace, then walk with those who are headed in that direction too. You don't have to accept every presence in your life just because you fear being alone. Because sometimes, solitude will strengthen you more than company that drains you. Lesson 7. Become unshakable. Strengthen your inner world. This is the final and perhaps the most important lesson. Become unshakable. Strengthen your inner world, and know, this doesn't mean becoming cold, indifferent, or detached from your emotions. It means something far more powerful. Cultivating a quiet strength within that keeps you centered, even when everything around you tries to pull you off course. To the Stoics, real power was never about controlling others. It was about mastering oneself. Marcus Aurelius, Emperor of Rome, once wrote, "Peace lies not in external things, but in the ability to remain calm within, even in the midst of chaos." He understood what we all come to learn. The world is unpredictable. People will disappoint. Life will spin beyond our control. But there is one place no one can touch. A mind that is well-trained, a heart that knows itself, a soul at peace. That is your true refuge, and it must be built intentionally, day by day. Being unshakable doesn't mean you stop feeling pain. It means you no longer collapse because of it. It means looking at an insult and understanding it doesn't define you. It means facing a mistake and refusing to drown in guilt, choosing instead to rise through understanding. It means realizing whatever someone tries to take from you, your respect, your dignity, your sense of worth, only leaves if you hand it over. And a Stoic never hands it over. He observes, he breathes, and he chooses always with awareness. To strengthen your inner world is to invest in what others cannot see, your values, your principles, your ability to pause before reacting. It's finding stillness in the noise, reading, not just to know more, but to understand better, nurturing relationships that nourish, not distract, caring for your mind like it's a sacred space, clean, protected, grounded. In daily life, this begins with small routines. Ask yourself, what can I do today to become stronger on the inside? It could be a powerful book, a meaningful conversation, a quiet no that sets you free, or something as simple as choosing not to complain, but to breathe and act with purpose. With each choice, you'll begin to notice. You don't break as easily anymore. You don't react the way you used to. And when the attacks come, because they will, you'll be ready. This lesson is the foundation beneath all the others, because in the end, the only real defense against disrespect, instability, and negativity is a soul that has been deliberately, patiently built. When you become unshakable, not out of hardness, but out of clarity, you don't just change how you respond to the world. You begin to change the kind of world you create around you. If you've made it this far, truly, thank you. It means you're not just watching another video. You're searching for growth. You're seeking wisdom. You're building a stronger, more conscious, more grounded version of yourself. And that already sets you apart from most. Tell me in the comments, which of these 7 lessons resonated with you the most? Which one do you feel ready to apply right now? And if you're not sure what to write, just type thank you. That's enough to let me know you stayed with me to the end and that this message reached you. If you haven't yet, go ahead and subscribe and hit the bell icon. Here we share Stoic wisdom daily to help you live with more clarity, strength, and purpose. And before you go, I'll leave 2 powerful videos here for you so you can keep walking this path of inner transformation. Because your evolution, it's already begun.